We will be knowing some new facts about the mental health, how to cope with this stress and anxiety, what we are experiencing nowadays, and in our society, in our environment. So, I would like to welcome. I would like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Sarab sir, and I think not taking much time, I would invite our chief guest speaker to give knowledge on this. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind introduction. Now I shall start sharing my screen. Okay, so can everybody see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as sir has told already, we are going to a very difficult phase of pandemic. So it all began 1 year back, and it's almost more than 1 year now. Impacted all aspects of human life, including mental health and physical health. So, pandemic are not just a medical phenomenon; they affect individuals and societies at many levels. They cause disruption, stigma, and xenophobia. A range of mental health problems like anxiety, insomnia, depression, hypochondriasis, panic attacks, OCD, PTSD, substance abuse disorders, even suicidality have been found to be increased during this pandemic. It is in this situation, disturbed situation, we have to take care of promotion and prevention and take care of the clinical care. So after 2 waves, what we have found that there has been a significant mental health consequences of COVID-19 pandemic globally, and now it's very well established. Initially, all these problems stemmed from fears of infection, restriction of movement because of lockdown. Later, it has been found that COVID-19 itself, the disease itself, has some neuropsychiatric manifestation, some consequences. Common problems that are being found include, as I already told, that anxieties, panic attack, fear of contracting COVID-19 by self or to or near and dear one of our family. Health anxiety is there, anxiety related to uncertainty about future, what will happen, when will the next wave come, all these things. Anxiety about death and dying in unnatural circumstances. Like we all know that when a person gets admitted in a COVID dedicated hospital, the family members are not there staying with them. So if some untoward thing happens, so nobody is near that person. Nobody is there from his family to say the final goodbye. So anxiety is there about dying in such kind of circumstances where the people are kept in body bag and cremated without much support from the family members. Sleeplessness is there, nightmares are there. Also progress to severe mental health problems like depression or OCD, PTSD, complicated grief, and even suicide has also been reported. So now we'll discuss current mental health issues in this pandemic. First thing is addressing stigma. So as we all know, we have seen news reports also, we have also experienced it. Racial profiling is there, concern about other person's infectious status there when interacting with some other person. Healthcare workers, frontline workers, we have heard many news that they are being targeted or they are being stereotyped. We have heard some news that they are being outcasted from residential societies and other kind of such kind of news. So our frontline workers, healthcare workers are being stereotyped, stigmatized, bullied and discriminated. So this stigma is also getting attached to those persons who has been found to be infected. So stigma needs to be tackled because stigma actually delays or prevents person from seeking help. and demotivates the frontline personnel, frontline workers. So how we can tackle the stigma? We can do this by improving the awareness, by providing authentic information, authentic communication, using unprejudiced language, and encouraging the healthcare workers or the frontline workers. Now, another major issue is that of social isolation. As we all know, that quarantine and isolation has become a very commonly used term during last 1 year. Quarantine and isolation are very important, almost necessary for containing the spread of the infection, spread of the virus, but it has also its downsides. Like it leads to loss of social contact, this sense of isolation is there, lack of routine is there. So all these things have impact on mental health. Lockdown, work from home, travel restrictions have resulted in confinement to home. Earlier, when it started, people were quite happy to do work from home. They used to think, अच्छा है घर से काम करने मिल रहा है, आराम है. But soon they realized after a few weeks or months that actually confining oneself in home has more adverse impact on the mental health than working in an office. Uh, for for few people who have been in abusive relationships, mostly housewives, mostly females, who had already been facing domestic violence, we have seen many research has shown that there has been exponential increase in reports of domestic violence during this period. So we urgently need to take care of all these things. Support, we have to provide helplines, stay safe places we have to provide. Another Another important issue is that of vaccine hesitancy and illness anxiety. Few of the people become very much preoccupied with the infection. They constantly keep on thinking about infection, that they have already like they have either already got infection or they are going to get that infection, and become very much distressed. There's disturbance and impairment in their day-to-day functioning also. Ultimately, they repeatedly visit the healthcare facility, overburdening the healthcare facility, and they also run a higher risk of infection because of their repeated exposure to healthcare facilities. Such kind of people actually require validation of their concern and reassurance and support. Also, we have seen that there's excessive worry about vaccines, especially in rural areas and tribal areas, where some rumors, WhatsApp rumors, or some other kind of social media rumors have been spread, and this has led to vaccine hesitancy. So, this needs to be addressed by public information campaign. We need to discuss their concern and allay their concerns by providing correct information. Another important issue. Please mute your mic. Okay.
I request Dr. B.N. Vaishram. Please mute yourself.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, Okay, so engaging healthcare personnel to provide basic mental health care is also very important. As we all know that mental health professionals are very much scarce in our country, especially in this part of the country, in our state of Chhattisgarh. The number are very much less compared to the other parts of the country. So it is becoming imperative that the 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 normal healthcare personnel should also come forward to provide basic mental health care, because the limited number of mentological techniques can be taught to frontline healthcare workers to handle distress, grief. Some relaxation techniques can be taught, problem solving skills can be taught. So frontline persons are often the ones who break the bad news.
Excuse me, sir. I request B.N. Vaishram, madam. Please mute yourself, ma'am. Dr. Vaishram, please mute yourself, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so providing basic training to healthcare professionals is also important, so that they can also contribute in tackling this pandemic of mental health issues that is coming along with the COVID-19 pandemic. So now we'll see needs of some special populations who are often left out of this. So children and adults, and as we all know that all these online classes are going on, and children are becoming overburdened and stressful because of this. So restriction into the physical activity, recreational activity, they are not able to go to school for more than 1 year now, and there has been very limited opportunities to interact face to face with peers. This has led to a lot of, this has taken a lot of mental toll on them. Initially they were very happy कि स्कूल बंद हो गया है, सब घर में रहने मिल रहा है, but soon they realized that after a few weeks, so that it has become more burdensome on them to attend all those online classes. Not only on them, also on their parents. They are not able to cope up with all this pressure of online classes and assignments. So they also run a risk of having internet addiction, because nowadays most of the hours children are spending attending classes on Zoom or other such kind of platforms. So risk of internet addiction, mobile addiction is also increased. Also, if someone in the family gets infected and gets admitted in isolation ward, or the children might themselves get infected and admitted, so they are separated from parents. So this separation also increases the likelihood of stress, adjustment disorder, and grief. Children and adolescents they can be handled by listening to them, acknowledging their problems, their difficulties, clarifying their doubts, reassuring them, generating hope, and providing emotional support. And one important thing is to maintain their regular routines. Older adults are very much vulnerable both physically and mentally, and they are also associated with more worse outcome than younger people. They are at higher risk, they are more socially isolated, they are less likely to have access to healthcare services. We all know that initially when vaccination was started, so we had to register from a mobile app or a website, Covid. So older people are not that tech savvy. They find it very cumbersome to use technology. So they are often left out because of increased use of technology, and so they face very difficulties in accessing the essential services. So we must take care of that also. Also, there is increased risk of new onset mental health problems in older adults, and also worsening of pre-existing mental health problems. Pregnant women have some unique anxieties. They are very much afraid that if they get COVID, this might affect their baby. How will they reach the hospital in case of emergency? Like when there was second wave, peak was there, hospitals were so overburdened, so saturated, that it had become very much difficult for a person with other physical illness, or like pregnant women who had their deliveries pending. It became very difficult for them to access hospitals also. So in such case, there is always a fear that is something emergency happens. Will they get a bed? Will they get admission? So these kind of fears are also there. So special care has to be taken for the pregnant women, and they also run high risk of postpartum depression also in this pandemic. Person with disabilities, as we all know, they are already ignored and left out in normal situation, and in this pandemic, this has all only aggravated their situation. They experience reactions of anxiety, apprehension, sadness, grief, irritability, which are qualitatively and quantitatively different from concerns of other people, and it depends on the type and severity of disability. So we need to elevate their mental health difficulties by ensuring a continued access to appropriate information and welfare provision as they are given in normal times. Frontline persons are also facing significant stress due to their workload, fear of getting infected, fear of transmitting that infection to our loved ones or our family members. So worries about personal protective equipment, We all have heard news of that PPE kits are not available in adequate amount. So all these worries are also there, which leads to significant stress. Many frontline personnel had have to witness and inform death of some patient also, and they may face grief themselves. So when there was peak of the pandemic, so many deaths were happening on daily basis. It had become very much difficult for healthcare professionals also to cope up with that kind of grief. Nobody has seen so many deaths in such a short period of time before. So this may also lead to exacerbation or relapse of previous psychiatric problem, or new onset psychiatric problem can also happen. In such case, we need a greater organizational support for frontline workers, including healthcare workers and other frontline workers like policemen or other auxiliary staff. These kind of staff need more greater organizational support. All of the frontline workers should practice principles of self-care, like giving adequate time to their families, adequate time to themselves, take strategies like relaxation exercises, physical exercises, maintaining a social contact, giving some time to hobbies or leisure activities. It is very important. Often what happens that once a person gets responsibility, so that responsibility overburdens him or her. We should not engage ourselves 24 hours in such kind of duties. Duties should be fixed, rotation should be there, appropriate time for rest should be given to healthcare workers and frontline workers. So giving adequate time, 6 to 8 hours for sleep, uh, earmarking appropriate hours, 2 hours, 3 hours for oneself, family, this is very important, so that the fatigue does not set in, burnout does not happen, and we get refreshed and recharged by getting adequate sleep and taking care of self and spending time with family. So it is very important. Hospitalized patients are also having some concern. The unique thing with this pandemic is that in this pandemic, when a person gets admitted in an hospital, in a ward, so the care becomes very much impersonal. By impersonal, what I mean is that in normal illnesses, when a person gets admitted, there is infodemic. Infodemic means there, if 100 information is available on the internet or social media, 90 of them is fake news or negative news. Only 10 of them is authentic news. So we should take our news only from authentic sources, authentic media houses, WHO, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare website, or ICMR website. So we should not get stuck up in these kind of WhatsApp rumors and social media rumors, and we should learn to distinguish facts from rumors, because rumors leads to panic and all sort of mental health issues. So protecting oneself and being supportive to others is important. We should share more positive stories about those who have recovered from COVID, those who have supported their loved ones through the recovery process. We should honor our healthcare workers and frontline workers and cooperate with them during performance of their duties. For healthcare workers, it has been suggested that it is quite normal and common to feel stressful. As we all know that this pandemic, all those who have been even for working in healthcare sector for around 50 years, they have never seen such kind of health disaster previously. Historical accounts, we know that such level of pandemic happened around 100 years back in 1918, the Spanish flu, as we know. So it has been, so this disaster has been of that level that happens in once in a century kind of disaster is there. So it's quite normal that everyone will feel stressed. So accepting that, acknowledging that it is normal to feel stressful during such kind of disaster is the first step. Next step we have to take is managing our stress and doing some positive, taking some constructive steps to increase our psychosocial well-being. So taking care of our basic needs, employing helpful coping strategies like taking proper rest, proper night sleep, at least 6 hours of night sleep, eating healthy and sufficient diet, engaging in physical activity, and with family and friends, it takes a very much importance in such kind of crisis situation. We should also avoid using unhelpful coping strategies like many people employ turning towards substance use, withdrawal, and all these things can provide a temporary relief for few people, but in long run, in long term, that will worsen both physical and mental health. So staying connected with our loved ones, especially through digital video or audio calls, such kind of things can be employed to keep in constant touch with our loved ones, taking care of them, asking about themselves, telling our own problems, sharing problems with them. So this also leads to helping us in decreasing our stress. For those who are healthcare team leaders, they should ensure mental health of their staff. They should keep all their staff protected, provide proper protective equipment, PPE and all. Should ensure good quality communication, accurate information should be given. Duty roster should be made such that one person does not get overburdened or burnt out. Duties can be given in pairs so that if one person suffers some problem, other person can help. Providing appropriate work day breaks, flexible schedules also helps in decreasing the stress. Also, facilitating access to mental health and psychosocial support services will also help in keeping the mental health of our healthcare psychological first aid is also very important. For we have already talked about children. Now, caretakers of children also face some unique challenges. Like as we all know, the children are very curious and very enthusiastic. They are full of energy. So they are being kept in houses for last more than 1 year. So it is become very much frustrating for the children. So we have to deal with the children in positive ways. So they are able to express their disturbing feeling without any fear or sadness. We should avoid separating children from their parent as much as possible. Like in wards also we try to keep the patient with their children because there is nobody at home to take care of those little children. So they have to be kept with their parents only. Regular contact with parents should be maintained. We should maintain a family routine, even if online classes are happening. So the timing of those classes and meals and everything should be kept in a routine so that proper time is given to children for play also, leisure activities, pursuing their hobbies. So this is very important. Apart from that, as I told that children are very much enthusiastic, they are very much curious, they ask so many questions. So if we should not ignore their questions or reject answering their question. Instead of that, we should provide each appropriate information in language they understand, simple language. We can make them understand what the illness is and what COVID appropriate behavior is. As we all know, the third wave is about to come. So a lot of people are saying that children might be more infected in this wave. So it has become imperative that children need to be given proper information regarding the COVID appropriate behavior, all the social distancing, hand washing, masks. They should be given proper information and they should be taught in the language they understand how to maintain that behavior. Older adults also face some unique problems. They become disoriented when they are kept in isolation. So sharing simple fact, giving clear information, repeating with older adults, we need to repeat the information again and again in a clear way because they usually forget whatever we have told. So this needs to be done in a proper manner. Information can be displayed in writing or pictures that will help the older. Addressing lifestyle and wellness. So we the time has come that we all modify our lifestyle and start living a healthy lifestyle. So regular physical exercise, either in the form of exercise, in enhancing wellness, and all these are preventing measures for both physical and mental health. So research has found that it increases immune response, it increases the immunity also, improves lung capacities, also improves the physical element. So this should be taken care of. Another important thing that has come up for last 1 year is the importance of technology. Like we all know that previously consultation over technology or mobile phone or internet was not allowed. But as the pandemic came, the Medical Council of India and other regulatory bodies have come up with guidelines, teleconsultation guidelines, so that people living in remote areas are not left out and not deprived of healthcare. So digital platforms have come as a relief for the person receiving healthcare remotely. So even professional societies like Societies for Psychologists, Indian Association of Clinical Psychology, or Society for Psychiatrists, Indian Psychiatric Society have come up with individual guidelines for telepsychiatry, telepsychology, telecounseling services, so that professionals can provide these services in an appropriate and safe manner, so that people get benefited without risking their life for the risk of infection. So there has been exponential increase in use of digital technology for both patient care and training as well. As we all know that we are having this webinar, so we are having this talk over technological devices. So we are also using that digital technology to share knowledge. So it has become very important now in pandemic. This is one mnemonic given by Dr. Russ Harris. It is very simple to remember how to cope up with the COVID stress. So the mnemonic is face COVID. So like we have to focus on what's in our control and not focus on what is not in our control, because focusing on things which are not in our control is not going to help. Acknowledging our thoughts and feelings is very important. Coming back into body means that sometimes we get lost in some excessive worries, excessive thoughts, so it does not help. We should come back into our body and focus on what is in our control, what we should engage ourselves in what we are doing, so that our work does not get hampered. Committed action should be done on what ought to be done. So we should perform our duties, we should take care of our families. Having stuck in a pandemic should not be an excuse to give away our duties. So opening up for difficult feelings is very important. Values should be guiding our actions. So whatever values that has been taught by us, by our parents and our teachers, so we should take into account all those values while guiding our actions. Identifying resources for help, assistance and support is important. Lastly, we all know that social distancing, disinfection, hand hygiene, washing our hands, sanitizing our hands, using masks, these are also very important. These are 7 days for anxiety-free lockdown. Like when we are having anxiety, we should discuss our anxieties with our family members or friends. We should distract ourselves into some activity we like or our hobbies. We should delay having these unpleasant thoughts. We should take deep breath, like deep breathing exercise, pranayam, all these things. Following social distancing, drinking a lot of water. All these things will help in decreasing our stress level. For relieving anxiety, staying informed, maintaining a healthy diet, regular exercise, getting enough sleep, preserving daily routines, taking a break from all the negative news and negative things on social media, and keeping in touch with our friends and family members will help us in relieving anxiety. So this chart tells that initially when we get infected with COVID or somebody from our family gets infected, we become fear, we panic, we feel like we are a victim. so we are in fear. Then we slowly start getting in control. We start doing those things which will protect us or taking care of our family members. We start learning many new things. So we come into the learning zone. Then ultimately we start appreciating with this crisis, and then we move on in our life. This is known as the growth zone. Then we enter the growth zone. Now, lastly, I won't take much time. Short guidance for, as there are many healthcare professional counselors also have attending this talk. So I have put some slides regarding guidance for psychosocial counseling, how it can be done. So, what are the goals of counseling? The goals of counseling are very simple. The goals are encouraging safety, health, and hygiene of the normal person, reducing immediate stress, normalizing the worry, and developing healthy ways of addressing worry. Like telling the client or the patient that it is normal to worry in this extreme situation, in this crisis situation. But we should develop healthy ways of addressing or coping up with that worry. Telling them that this is a phase, this emotional turmoil is a phase, and every phase passes. So every this shall also pass. Like we tell, like हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि रात के बाद सुबह आती है. So this night is not going to last forever. Ultimately, after a few days or few weeks, situation will improve and things will slowly get normal. So normalizing that worry, giving them hope, giving them sense of realistic hope, teaching them better methods to cope with this stress, and increasing their communication, because in relationship many problems happen because of communication gap. So teaching them how to effectively communicate with their family members, their partners, also helping them towards solving life problems. These are the goals of counseling. So what are the basic counseling skills? These are basic things can be learned by anyone who wish to provide counseling or who is working as a mental health care professional. Refer them to appropriate services, appropriate hospital, and giving practical advice on day-to-day things is also important. If some aid is needed, so providing instrumental aid that is effective is also very important. As I told that, referring to some appropriate services, be it medical services or legal services or any other kind of services is important. Comforting them, giving them comfort, and ensuring connectedness so that they are well connected to their friends and family members is also very important in psychological counseling. Now briefly something about problem solving, how problem solving is done. First step will be to identify the problem, to explore since when that problem has existed and how severe the problem is, identifying who all are a part of the problem, the different steps that the client has taken previously for solving that problem, which of those steps were most effective, and assessing the pros and cons of all those steps. So suppose a person comes to us with some problem. Obviously, he or she comes to us as a last option. He has tried and exhausted many other options before. So discussing pros and cons of each option and providing some additional steps of for those options, and planning for the person which option should be tried first and which option should be tried later on. So planning all these things will help in problem solving. Trying those steps again and identify their expectations and telling them that we should not have unrealistic expectations, unrealistic outcomes of those steps. So helping them to visualize the realistic outcomes of all those problem solving steps is important and forms a part of problem solving skills. Activity scheduling is also very handy. Sleep hygiene should be maintained, at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep. We should avoid using electronic devices such as mobiles, even TV or laptops 2 hours before bedtime, because there is something called pineal gland in our brain. So it secretes a hormone called melatonin, which is a sleep producing hormone. And and all the blue light or that wavelength of light which comes from artificial light which comes from mobile screens and TV screen, that leads to decrease in melatonin. So that causes disruption of sleep. So proper sleep hygiene, proper sleep habits should be followed. De-stressing before bed is very important, like taking a relaxing bath or deep breathing or doing some meditation. Like Yog Nidra is very helpful for many people who do Yog Nidra. And they tend to fall asleep earlier. Deep breathing exercises, muscle relaxation exercises are also very important. So all this kind of activity scheduling will help in improving the sleep of the person and for overall mental well-being of the person. So this is from my side. These are my references. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your very wonderful presentation, and you have been explained in a very simple manner, simple language, so everyone can understand very easily. As the students and professionals and the parents also involved in this webinar, so everyone can understand this very nicely. Thank you so much, sir. And here, before taking the questions, I would like to give some other 5 more minutes. Okay. I'm just sharing it to my screen.